Let's go gambling.
Oh, dang it.
Hey everyone, this is Curb, and I bring you another standard match. Today we're going to be taking a look at Kairi on the left, and of course we do have Luard over on the right. So it looks like Kairi is going to be going first, which of course is kind of where Luard wants to be. You know, all stride deck sets kind of just want to go second, but Kairi is a little bit unique in the sense that it does actually want to go second as well, because its ride skipper does require your opponent to be on grade 3, so definitely not the best situation for Kairi. We do see the Maple being discarded there to ride up into that root. Is Root the grade 1 or the grade 0? Oh well, it doesn't matter. Gonna be calling down a Painkiller Angel, kind of just forcing some damage through here, swing 16. Our only best bet is to maybe go for a 1 to pass, which is also a little bit risky. Gonna be draft tricking a Morfessa there, damaging just a blank there. Be discarding to ride up into it's kind of hard to see, but we are of course playing the realistic ride line, which of course, you know, is just the best ride line that you can realistically play in like pretty much almost any lyrical deck, unless they desperately do need the grade 1 and the grade 2. So of course she's going to be putting a trigger in there for the cost of the grade 1 Melissa, searching out that crossing Illumeraze. Alright, so adding it to hand. Looks like before we are going to be playing it, we're actually going to be doing something else, which is going to be calling out the, what's her name? Felina, who is going to be Soul Blasting 1 and setting the Only My Stage order into the order zone. So now this is something a little bit new. Obviously, this is a new package that came out in the Festival Booster, the most recent one, 2024. Couldn't kind of see how it works in Kairi. I did talk with the player after this locals, and he did say that he's probably going to be taken out. Like, it seems like the set order package is okay-ish in Kairi, as we'll be seeing in a little bit, but of course, he mentioned that it really does not do that much, which is also something we'll probably be seeing. Anyways, going to be playing out that crossing Illumeraze there in the extra 5 key to the list, and then drawing the 2 cards, just kind of demonstrating why that package is just so insanely good here. Calling out an aura, I guess a little bit interesting. Maybe you could have called the aura behind the Felina, kind of just like pressure a little bit more damage, force out a 15k guard this early on. But I guess you do really want to be hitting with the aura right now, and then just getting, looks like we're just going to be guarding with that Abyssal Owl there. Be swinging in the Willista for the 21, just gonna be guaranteeing the hit pretty much. Hitting to a front trigger, which doesn't really matter for anything. Just going to be using the skill here. I think the correct thing to search here is going to be the Elementaria, because if you see my tier list, you know that basically any grade 4 deck does instantly die to Drag Strider, and Elementaria is basically your only way of living through one Drag Strider turn, because the power gets way too big, basically by second stride. But interestingly enough, I think a little bit of a misplay there. We searched and added a Angel Ladder, which I'm not exactly sure why we did that. It's kind of a questionable play. Like, Luard is not a deck that actually has any removal inherently, unless they're playing like bad techs, so the Angel Ladder isn't really going to be doing anything in this situation. I mean, I guess it gives you 1 extra soul and 5k to your Vanguard, which is nice and all, but I think realistically what you needed to do there was search out your Elementaria, kind of just put them off of that Drag Strider for a little bit. But of course, looks like Luard is just going to be riding up into Leafall, just swinging for the 18. We actually didn't use the Painkiller effect there last turn. I guess it's an alright play. Like, there's no reason really not to. I'm going to be doing the correct play of Soul Blasting out the grade 1 and then using the Painkiller there. I guess we could have called some more. I don't know if we drew that Painkiller off the Painkiller, but you could have also just like called that and swung with it, I guess. Oh wait, no, he's going second, so you could have used the first Painkiller and then used the second one. I don't know. Anyways, Looks like we are going to be opting to not ride up here. Definitely makes sense. Why would you give Luard the first stride when, you know, you want to get to your grade 4 first? So the only issue with that is you don't really have as strong of a turn because that ballista is now back down to a 10k base, and unless you have a way to play another crossing Illumirays, which Kairi as a deck is definitely not going to be having any access to, you really don't have like as much pressure. Like maybe we could have even saved the aura for this turn if we were planning to not ride up, just to have like a little bit more pressure. We did kind of exchange it for a dead card in hand because you can't even play the Angel Ladder right now, so it's just kind of just sitting in your hand, not even being shield. So it looks like we're just going to swing for the 10 at Vanguard. I think maybe just throw down a 15k shield here, kind of just insulate yourself from anything. Depending on what the drive check is, maybe you can even guard the second attack. But it looks like we get nothing off of the attack there. So we're going to be swinging the 10. Probably just throw down a 5k guard here. Since you're not going to be able to stride next turn, you don't realistically need that 2 CB. So we can try and just give up any kind of a 5k shield here. Looks like we're going to be guarding with that Morfessa, increasing our ritual count again, although it doesn't really matter. The only thing that really matters is, you know, having the 3, because most of your stuff is ritual 3 there. Questionably, you could have kept the Morfessa, because it could have been, did I say Morfessa, because it would have been a 15k attacker going into his 10k Vanguard, would have been a very good hard punish against, you know, not riding up. Of course, we do use a Leofall skill as well as the Maple, Soul Blasting it to draw a card, and then of course just calling out the Maple since you did place a grade 3. One of the reasons why Maple is pretty good in Luard. So I'm not sure what we have left in hand. Looks like we do have a copy of Luard. Probably just going to keep that in case we need to actually, well, we would have needed it for stride cost, but now that we're going to be going into our next turn with a Luard Vanguard, we don't need to actually pay stride cost. So it looks like we do have the Painkiller, and calling it behind the Vanguard and just swinging here. I did see another grade 1 in there. I don't remember which one it is here. Looks like we're actually going to EV-70 first and then swinging in at the Vanguard. We could have probably called down that grade 1. I don't remember if it's the intercept one or like the gain power one. I think it is the intercept one, so maybe we could have just called that and then like even just swing at rears. But looks like we're going to be getting a critical trigger off the top here, so it's going to be pushing Kairi to 4, giving the power to the Maple, and another critical trigger means that we are going to be going to push to 5 and having a 3k Maple. 3 damage checked and absolutely no defensives there. So this gonna be using, almost forgetting to use the Painkiller, and then swing for a 30k Maple, which is going to call down both a front trigger and that intercept. The intercept's not really that impactful, but definitely losing out on the 20k shield for nothing, basically, just because you weren't good enough to hit any defensives and your opponent just, you know, actually hit double crit there. Definitely in a very big pinch for Ballista. So we're gonna have to, you know, see if we can kind of claw our way back here. If we manage to get like a heal trigger or 2, that would definitely help things out. I don't think we've seen a single heal trigger out of Kairi quite yet, so it is within the realm of possibility. Just gonna be calling down the Yasmin, gonna be ride skipping directly into our grade for Kairi there. Hopefully we do have all of our pieces in hand, so we'll be able to mount a very impressive turn here. Like, I know that not everyone is keen on what, or is up to date with what Kairi does, but Kairi does actually hit very, very hard. There's a reason I think I put it in A or B tier, as you're going to be seeing in this video, just because Kairi, once it gets its engine running, it does hit like a fucking truck. So we are going to be starting off with that Bracing Angel Ladder, which is, as I said, not really going to be accomplishing anything. You know, it's just an extra 5k and a soul charge, because Luard does not do any sort of removal. So going to be calling out the Stride Fodder Dragon here, using the skill Counter Blessing 1. It lets you draw a card and get an extra 10k, which is definitely going to, you know, increase our attack power. It's already at 28 thanks to the Kairi skill, because it was called this turn. Everything that you call this turn does get an extra 5k. Going to be calling out the Restander, also going to be getting another 5k. So now this one doesn't natively get boost, but thanks to the Only My Stage, we can theoretically give it another 5k, or not another 5k, the ability to boost. And then I think it also gives itself an extra 5k as long as you're on a Kairi Vanguard. So calling out a Franchet, as well as, what's this card called? Huletta, which does actually get 5k in boost when it is placed. So we do have another 20k booster there actually, because it's 15k base on its own, and then a Kairi giving another 5k. Calling out another Huletta is going to be doing another 20k booster for that Vanguard. So we've got a whole bunch of just massive swings going on here, using the only stage to give the last card that does not have the booster the extra skill there. Going to be starting off with that Franchette, who is just swinging for a very solid 40k, because that is a 20k booster, boosting the Franchette, who herself is at 15k base and gets another 5k on attack. Means that this first attack is honestly probably the smallest of all the attacks you're going to be seeing here, but it's still a massive 40k. So it looks like we're going to be committing the guarding with two 15k shields. There is probably a world where you take the first one and, you know, hope for a defensive. But, you know, this other column is swinging for 48. So I think that if you're going to take a damage, you definitely just take it here. Because, like, what if you get a defensive? That'll make the other attacks that much easier to guard. I mean, like, the first attack was only 40. It was a 2-card guard. You did give up two 15k shields, but at least it was kind of optimal. Here, 48 is just kind of a really awkward number. So I think we just take this, maybe get a defensive, because the Vanguard swing is still swinging for like 38, 43. Oh, but looks like we are actually going to commit the 3-card guard in order to block this 48. It seems like a little bit of a waste because you're getting rid of like 30, 40k shield there, just to kind of block this one attack. Then of course using the skill of the Kairi, calling out both the Franchette and the Huletta, going to be giving it gets a boost again, and then of course, you know, both of them do get their own 5k, and then the skill of that grade 2 over there is going to be restanding its entire column and giving the front row another 5k power. So it looks like we're just going to be taking this, hitting into a critical trigger here, giving the critical to the Vanguard, and then an extra 10k to some other unit. And we did also drive check the Elementaria, which is like, why didn't we search that out earlier? You know, maybe that could have been some other card, but it looks like that critical trigger is going to be the only card check there. So technically we do have an answer for the Drag Strider next turn, but it looks like Luard is going to be hitting into a defensive heal and a defensive crit there. So that's going to make both of these attacks super easy to guard. Well, not super easy, it's still pretty massive, with this Franchette swing for 40k once again, or actually 45. Or is it bigger than? I think we have the extra 10k from the trigger there as well. So that's going to be hitting for, I think, 55, which is a pretty massive number. Like I said, don't mess around with Kairi. Kairi makes like absolutely massive numbers on turn 3 going second. So it's like, yeah, don't mess with Kairi. It can really like fuck you up if you're not being prepared for it. So this should be just like a 20k guard, if I'm mistaken, because we're at 33 base. So it looks like we're guarding for 53, 63, unless my numbers are off a little bit, which they might be. And then this other attack is going to be swinging in for, I believe, 53, because they did get an extra 5k to the front row. So the base number was another 5k extra thanks to the restander. Not sure why we decided to commit the guards to all of that. Like, I guess you do know that this is what your opponent is going to be kind of, you know, doing next turn. So, you know, staying at low damage is okay, but at the same time, you're getting rid of a lot of cards, you know, that are going to help you guard the next turn. So, looks like Drag Driver Luard is going to finally be able to stride on this turn. I guess we're just deciding what we want to put back. Looks like we're choosing a lot of grade 1s here, which will take away from a ritual count, but honestly at this moment it really does not matter, because at this point in the game you really only need grade ritual 3, and then pretty much you only need ritual 7 on second stride. So it looks like we did manage to get 2 maples into the drop zone here. So we are going to be calling out the first one with the stride of Drag Driver. Going to be using the stride skill to counterblast 1, retire the maple, and then we're going to be able to call out 2 grade 1s. Looks like we're going to go for an Ezra's as well as a second Ezra. So definitely our hand quality is not looking that great. So probably just calling this to make sure that we can kind of build a board, but at the same time you are, you know, a little bit, you know, reliant on what's on top of your deck. Like, it is totally possible that you call complete garbage off of the top 2 there, which is, you know, definitely something that happens a lot of the time. Actually, his name isn't Ezra's. His name is Semias? The fuck? Who's Ezra's then? Maybe I'm thinking about a regular G card. But it looks like we do actually get a really good top check there. Calling out the grade 3 Stride Fodder. Is it a dragon or a warrior? I think it's a dragon. Whatever. It's not the actual cool Stride Fodder dragon. It's not the cooler one. But anyways, checking the top 2 off the other Semias, I guess his name is, getting a Morfessa, and that I think that's a 13k attacker, grade 1. So definitely either one of these choices would be good. Theoretically, could call grade 1 behind Vanguard, but you know, there's not really a reason to. Your Vanguard is just going to be being PG'd like most of the time anyways. So it looks like we're going to call over the Maple with the Morfessa there. So both of our front row units are going to be retiring at the end of this turn thanks to their skills. So we've got some pretty good columns here. The Morfessa by itself is still already at 25. But looks like we're kind of deciding what our attack order is. Going to be swinging the Morfessa first for that nice 25. And at the Vanguard, going to be a pretty easy 15k block here, which I think we do commit. Also, another thing that I didn't mention about Kairi, look at that size of that hand. That is just like an absolutely massive hand size. And to think we literally called a full board last turn. And basically all of it kind of just went back into our hand thanks to you know, all the bounce skills. I think yet another misplay here. We're throwing out the Elementaria against Drag Driver, which is kind of just asking to be Drag Stridered. Like, this kind of just telegraphs to your opponent, okay, if I don't kill you during this next turn and you live, because you probably will because you're at 3, just go into Drag Strider and then you win the game automatically. So definitely not a great play if you're Kairi, unless you're super confident that you can block like a 70k Drag Strider turn here. But we do see a critical trigger off of the Drag Driver's drive check, so it looks like we're going to be giving that power over to that newly called Stride Fodder Dragon thing. I should just stop calling it Stride Fodder Dragon. But we do see a Maple on the 3rd check, so now both of these are the same number because one has a 10k buff and the other has a 10k booster. So we do actually see a 38 for 2 damage. This one is, you absolutely have to block, but it is also just a really annoying number. That's like 2 triggers there, so it's not as bad, but it is still, you know, kind of annoying. So it looks like we're going to be committing a PG, so we did actually have a real PG in hand, and for whatever reason we decided to commit the Elementaria here, guarding the last attack with an over trigger, which is definitely not what you want to be seeing. Going to be retiring, of course, that grade 3 because it does die thanks to the Semias' skill. Almost forgetting, or probably not almost forgetting, but remembering to actually use the Crest skill to put a critical trigger on the bottom of the deck, since you did use a ritual ability. I always, whenever I play against Luard players, they almost always forget to do that, which, you know, it makes sense. It's an end phase skill with a condition. But, you know, going to be going back to Kairi. Theoretically, we could have a pretty sizable attack here. Like, if we can basically just do everything that we did last turn, which is totally feasible, because I don't think we got rid of any of our pieces guarding the last turn. So we definitely can go for, like, very, very big numbers, like 40, 48, and then, like, 45, 55, 63, whatever. I don't know if it goes up to 63. I think like it caps out at like 53 sometimes. But looks like we're gonna be calling an aura behind the Vanguard, which I guess is a little interesting. Maybe we're expecting our opponent to take the Vanguard attack. Calling out another copy of that 15k booster, which of course is gonna be 20k booster because of Kairi's skill. Swinging for this first column in for a very big 40. The quality of Luard's hand is not really that great, so we might be relying on a couple of defensives here. If we hadn't guarded so much during the last turn, we probably would have had a bit more of a sizable hand. We gave up like 5 or so triggers from our hand last turn, which, you know, is not always the worst thing, because I mean, technically you can't really do much with triggers except guard, you know. Alright, so it looks like we're going to be committing a pretty big guard here, guarding for 28, 38, which I guess my math is incorrect. It is actually 35 because the Franchet was not actually called this turn. That's what it was. But looks like we're gonna be taking this 48. Definitely, I think the correct play, just because, you know, you do want to at least kind of bank on a defensive here, but at the same time, it does make this Vanguard swing that much scarier, because if they check a critical trigger here, you are just dead. So I think you do have to kind of guard this. But, you know, as long as you can guard one more attack, so it looks like we do have the free Elementaria, so that's going to be pretty good. We only have 2 more cards in hand, so realistically, the only way that we're going to survive this is if we have a perfect guard and they don't check double crit. We do see a front trigger coming on down, 1 critical trigger there, giving all the effects to that Stride Fodder Dragon. If we get a second critical here, it is over, but looks like we do not. So if we have the PG, then we can just PG the 2 damage one, which is hitting for 63. I guess I was wrong about, you know, not hitting 63, but of course that was with 2 triggers. But of course the PG, 1 card left in hand, means that Kairi is unfortunately going to be unable to finish this here. So I think we just do swing in at the rear guard because there's no real reason to give Luard another damage. Like, you'd think, like, oh, it doesn't really matter, I need to be at 5 in case I survive. But if you want to have a chance of surviving, you cannot give them another CB. Because if you think about it, they need 1 for the Stride skill, and then 1 for, well, technically they don't need 2. Because, like, if they go to Drag Driver, they would need a CB, but, I mean, we're probably just going for Drag Strider here, just to, you know, close things out. You already revealed Elementaria, you go into Drag Strider here, and you just basically say GG's. But also, not swinging into that rear guard leaves them with a 23k attacker on their turn, so you kind of just gave them a free 15k shield. You're kind of just giving it up. If you at least attack that, you kind of force them to commit something else, which in this current situation can't be that much. You know, they only have 2 cards in hand, so like, what are they going to commit there? Probably nothing good. We're used to going down to the Ritual 7, which is, you know, perfectly fine because you only need Ritual 7, which is very interesting. I don't know why we're going to Drag Driver here when you just go into Drag Strider and automatically win, especially since, like, you could say, oh, we don't have the Ritual units. Well, you know what can get the Ritual units? You know, Stride skill. You can literally just call 2 Ritual and then you have 5 on board, and that meets all the conditions for Drag Strider. I know I made like a short that kind of popped off about why Drag Strider is a terrible card, but, you know, that's kind of a joke. You know, Drag Strider is just a game ender. It's just kind of funny how many restrictions they slapped onto him. Going to be using our Stride skill here only to call out that grade 1 that prevents, you know, multi-attack. I don't know why we only called 1, because, you know, deck thinning is deck winning. Also, that's a card that isn't going to be doing anything, because this is kind of your kill turn. Because, you know, even if they live here, I don't think there's a way you're living through this. Like, like, you're at 5, you have 3 cards in hand, you go up to 6 off of your triple drive. If you saw how big Kairi's numbers are, you're not surviving a Kairi turn at 5 with only 6 cards in hand. Like, every single card is, or every single attack's calling for at least 2 to 3 cards guard. So probably should just call it a grade 1 there. You could have even just, like, called over the Maple with it, at least a deck thin. But of course, this first Maple going to be swinging in, I suppose. I guess we're just thinking about where we want to swing first. But it looks like we are going to be going for the Stride Fodder first. That 33k attack that definitely could have just been avoided if, you know, attacked into it. Like, even if they called out, like, a grade 1, like, you're getting rid of 10k off of it. Like, even if it's a 13k, that's still 23. That's a difference between a 15k guard and a 25k guard. So definitely another really big misplay there. Looks like we are going to be PGing this attack because it is just way too big. I mean, if you don't have a way to nicely 2-card guard it, you might as well just, you know, PG it anyway. So going to be swinging with the Drag Driver here, using the Counterblast 1. So the other reason, I don't think I finished my point, the reason why you don't give Luard the 3rd Counterblast is this very exact reason. If you wanted to have even a ghost of a chance of living, assuming they actually do go into Drag Driver, you need to keep them off of that 3rd CB, because now you just gave them another swing because they have more Fessa. So now you could have just blocked, you know, 4 attacks, but now you have to block 5 at 5 with limited cards in hand. So this Drag Driver swing for a pretty big number. He could be hitting with another PG, so that's 2 PGs out already, and we still do have 2 more attacks after that. Throwing down a critical trigger here. I don't know where we put it. Like, I guess it depends on the numbers. We have this Maple column, which is already at 30, so if you put up to 40, that's still just a 15k block there. So I think we might as well just give it to more Fessa, because it's just already hitting for, what is that, 45? So it is a little bit of a better number here. 2 more blanks off of the drive check. I think that's the 4th Maple, actually, which is kind of funny. but we still do have 2 more attacks here, and we are going to need to be able to block both of them. With this Maple Swing in for, it's only 33 because of, let's see, what am I missing? 20, is it 33 or 20? Oh, because we flipped over another G unit, so it's getting plus 15, so it's 33. Very bad numbers, so it looks like we're just going to bank on a defensive, but it's not going to be happening. So that's going to be the end of the game. Hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do those things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.